Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Good afternoon, gang. My name is Devin. This is Habs After Dark. Welcome. You are watching Habs After Dark on Recliner Sports. If you are not yet subscribed, please do so. Hit the button down below. Very easy. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. Give us the likes. We'll see there's 5 of you already in the room. I appreciate it. Kyle Pelly made an early entrance and then an early departure. It looks like Kyle wanted to know whether that was 6 losses in a row for the Canadiens. No, it is not, Kyle. You are incorrect. It is not six losses in a row. Remember when I said Kovacevic would be on our top pair this year? We traded him for nothing. Well, I did say that, but I'm not going to gloat, and I'm not going to say that the Canadiens made a mistake getting rid of him because I think it was the right move at the time. However, getting rid of a right-handed defenseman who probably was the best defensive defenseman on the team last year might not have been the move I would have made. What's up, Entertap? What's up, PLW? What is up, RDP? The gym. Yes, I did a workout before the game started, so I am still in my gym attire, but it doesn't really make that much difference because it's kind of the same as the attire I typically wear. So ball cap and hoodie. So anyways, guys, welcome to the show. Like I said, if you are not yet subscribed, then please do so. If you're watching in a replay, I did get a wonderful message in the comments yesterday from a young man. I don't know how young he is, from a guy from Scotland who said he was watching the game all the way from Scotland, and he posted a comment. I have not responded to it yet, but I will. He did say that he was going to try and join us here today. So again, if you're watching in a replay, we do appreciate you as well, and certainly hope that you will join up and subscribe and become a part of the family here. We are trying to grow our numbers, and that means the people who watch the show live, but it also means the people who watch the show on replay afterwards. You're all part of the group, and we certainly appreciate and welcome all of your contributions to the show. We are trying to build a place where you can come and you can discuss the game in a relatively civil manner and in a way that's a little bit intelligent and some intelligent conversation about the game. So that's what we're trying to do. And if that's what you want to be a part of, then we would love to have you. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over and join us over here on to the YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel, the instructions are all on the board behind me there. Habs After Dark, Recliner Sports 4. That's where we are. So I think they could have waited at the training camp to trade Kovacevic, especially for such a low return. Yeah, I mean, again, I just felt like Kovacevic was a much better defenseman than a lot of people gave him credit for. The signs were there. I certainly thought defensively he was one of the better on the team last year. And again, I'm not going to suggest that they shouldn't have traded him because, again, other circumstances were at play. But again, I think that Kovacevic certainly deserved better. He was not appreciated the way that he could have been, I guess, is what I will say. I hear that Intertap Devin is training to hit that vicious split finger of mine. Yes. I think I'll be okay, PLW. I think I should be all right. So what do you guys think about the game tonight? I thought, again, my takeaways from tonight, again, is very similar to last night. This is a game that they ought to have won. And it's a situation where, and again, I'm not sure the answer to this question, but, how do you become more efficient at taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you? Obviously, the other team plays a role and the other goaltender, plays a role in that. But at some point, you can't continue to say, we had chances, but we just couldn't complete them, or we just couldn't finish, or we just couldn't, cash in. At some point, you need to take advantage of those opportunities. And, that's another winning habit, right? Taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. Realizing how precious they are and how fleeting they are. And that, you need to bear down sometimes on those opportunities. But again, I don't know how you coach that, and I don't know how to me, it's in part it's a mental aspect of the game. It's not a physical aspect of the game. And again, if you ask a player to bear down and to tighten their grip on their stick a little bit, that can have negative implications too, right? You don't want players out there who are gripping their sticks really, really tightly, because as we know, that can certainly lead to even more bad luck and more missed opportunities. But again, we'll see the numbers when we get to the scoreboard as far as scoring opportunities, high danger chances, shots at goal, shots on goal. All of those numbers are like ridiculously in Montreal's favor. Like, numbers that you would expect to see in a game where one team won like by 4, 5, 6 goals. Like something you would expect to see in a 6-1 game, not a 5-3 loss. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But again, I just the takeaway from this game again is very similar to the one from last night. Both of those games are games that the Canadiens deserved to win. Now, deserve doesn't mean a whole lot, when it comes to the final standings. But again, if I know there's a lot of panic going on. I see it, within the fan bases. I see it over on other shows, other channels, other places. Again, this is not a team that is making a step backwards. I don't think right now. They're still, obviously they're not getting the results that they did between Christmas time and the last week of January. However, I don't think it's a team that's regressed back to where they were in October and November. I still think they're a better team. I still think they're playing, they're playing good hockey, but they're not playing as good a hockey, and they're not getting the results. They're not, the confidence is not there, the momentum's not there. But again, this is not a team that's made a significant step backwards. There's a number of players who are doing really, really good things on this team, and again, I don't think it's a step backwards. If people are thinking that the rebuild is making a backwards move, then I don't think that's the case in this situation. So I was praising him a lot last year. Also, Kovacevic, yeah, I mean Kovacevic is a very serviceable defenseman in the NHL, and I'm not surprised how well he's doing in New Jersey. Entertap. Sometimes when it rains, it pours. Habs were clearly the better team today, and no luck, especially with a couple of errors made early on. Yeah, the two early errors and sort of the Jakub Dobeš certainly did not appear on his game tonight or today. He certainly struggled. There were a couple of errors. Again, a good hockey team takes advantage of those errors, right? They buried them. Tampa Bay is a good, veteran, mature, experienced hockey team, and so when those errors are presented to them, they take advantage of them and they score. Did it help that Jakub Dobeš wasn't really on his game? No, it didn't. And those teams are going to make errors. Like the Canadiens are not going to play an error-free game. No team plays an error-free game. So again, we can point to those errors early in the game, but again, it's more to me about the opportunities that the Canadiens had and they couldn't convert on, compared to the opportunities that Tampa Bay had that they did convert on. So the Canadiens are going to make mistakes. Slavkovsky. I know that Pierre-Hugues loves to use the term à l'aveuglette. Every time Juraj Slavkovsky touches the puck, Pierre-Hugues makes some sort of commentary about it being a blind pass or a blind play, and it's not always. It's not always, right? If you could, hockey is made. Hockey is played in a way where there's a lot of passes that are done that way, and it's not a Juraj Slavkovsky thing. It's everybody does it. So again, Slavkovsky made an error. Marty St. Louis wasn't patient with it. Marty St. Louis, moved him down the lineup, and I thought he played an excellent game after that, and got the opportunity to move back up to the first line at the end of the game when the Canadiens were trying to score that tying goal. So. Entertap, they played a solid game versus New Jersey yesterday. They absolutely did. I agree with you. We had a good chat about it on the show yesterday. again, very similar to today's game. They just couldn't take advantage of their opportunities. The other goalie was better than their goalie, and they just seemed to be gripping their stick a little bit too tight, and not being able to put those finishing touches um, when it mattered. They weren't able to do that last night, and they weren't able to do that tonight. So in both instances, it was a situation where, again, I know the Canadians don't like to talk about moral victories anymore, but again, these two games there were a lot of positives to take out of both of these games, and unfortunately, it's a shame that they don't get to go into the holiday break with a victory. Obviously, they can go into the holiday break feeling okay about the way they played and feeling good about the way they played. But again, being able to go into the holiday break with a win, is a lot better than going into the holiday break with some sort of a moral victory. So the difference maker is Dobesh swimming like Michael Phelps on one goal. Yeah, well, that third goal he did not look great on that third goal, obviously. I don't think he looked very good on the first two goals either. He just looked out of sorts today. I'm not sure. Even on some of the saves that he did make, I felt like he didn't look really that great. But yeah, I mean, again, Montembeault played a little bit better when he came into the game, and it was tough. Dobesh had a tough night, and that's going to happen, right? So all of those people that a week ago were calling for Jakub Dobesh should be the number one goalie and blah. I said, this is what I mean. Things are going to even out. Like this idea that a guy is going to come to the league and have 4 or 5 really good games and then all of a sudden take over from your number one goalie is a bit of an absurd thing, and it just didn't make sense. So Intertap, you can't coach that, Devin. It's about maturity, and they have to go through it together in order to get to the next step. I agree. You can't coach it, and and it's a momentum thing. It's something you put one in, and all of a sudden you feel a little bit better about yourself, and the next time your confidence is up a little bit more, and it sort of builds on itself, right? It's streakiness, right? You score goals in bunches, and with the exception of Brendan Gallagher tonight, it didn't appear that anybody really felt it, in that way. And again, you just wanted to get to the point where it's kind of second nature, and putting the puck in the net is not something you really think about, right? And they weren't thinking about it. Between Christmas time and that last week in January, that however many game period it was, they weren't thinking about it. They were just playing, and they were putting the puck in the net when they got there. How many times have we seen in the last 3 or 4 games where a guy gets the puck in the high slot and he's getting ready to take a shot that's gonna be a really good scoring opportunity, and the puck just slides off his stick? Like it happened to Hudson yesterday. It happened to Caulfield yesterday. It happened to Caulfield today, I believe. It happened to Matheson. Like these, you're about to get a really good scoring opportunity, make a good move to give yourself some ice and an opportunity, and then before you know it, the puck just kind of like farts off your stick, and you got nothing to show for it. Jeff, welcome back. Only liked the comeback. Other than that, very disappointed in the effort by our top guys. Okay, I didn't see it that way, Jeff. I thought the effort was there tonight. I thought the effort was quite good. I thought the team played very well. Again, with the exception of their finish, I thought it was a very good performance against a good hockey team. Obviously, Tampa Bay was missing their best player, so that's a bit of a mitigating factor, I suppose. But I didn't see it that way. What's up, Jeevan? I wasn't disappointed in the way they played tonight. Obviously, I think that tonight the performance, the performance came from sort of the better performance and the contributions. There were more contributions, I think, at least offensively, that came from the bottom 6. The Dvorak line and the Evans line, which obviously is not a recipe for success for the Montreal Canadiens. In a perfect world, you're getting your offensive production from the Suzuki line, but again, Slavkovsky got knocked off that line, and things were kind of in a disarray. I thought that Laine played really well tonight. Laine and Beck, I thought were really good. they didn't get a ton of ice time, but both of them had really good games, and I thought that Laine showed signs of getting his game back, and I thought that was a very positive sign. Give us a subscribe, guys. Follow down here if you're not yet subscribed. You're in here. I see there's 13 people watching at the moment. If you're not yet subscribed to the show, YouTube tells me that only about 35% of you are actually subscribed to the channel. We are trying to grow our family, grow our group, and if you're not yet part of it, we would love to have you. So hit that button and join up with us. That would be awesome. I'm just going to try and do something for 1 second here, guys. If you'll bear with me, I am going to just do this real quickly. Pardon me. Hit that thumbs up as well, guys. If you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the content, hit the thumbs up button. Give us a like. We're going to try to get to 20 likes here today. We've got 11 people in here. We've got 8 likes so far. That would be awesome. RDP, the more games you play, the more footage the opponent has on you. Regarding Dobesh, yeah, I think that's part of it. But again, I don't know that that's what was the issue tonight for Dobesh. I think the issue tonight was more so him just not being, it wasn't a good night for him. He had an off night. He's a young kid, and he didn't have his fastball tonight, to use PLW's vernacular. He didn't have his fastball tonight, and he struggled. It happens. It happens. PLW, not a step backwards. Quite linear. Habs have some of their answers on who they can rely on. My main concern is number 14. Yeah, not concerned. I'm not concerned, PLW. I think that's a bit of a revisionist history. I think you're making an emotional reaction based on a short sample size. And I think that the sample size that you're relying on pales in comparison to the long track record that we have to go on with respect to number 14. I think that you're having a bit of a knee-jerk overreaction in that particular situation, if you're asking me. Anonymous, putting Laine on the fourth line is going to do nothing but hurt him. Yeah, I don't think it's been great, but he did have a better game tonight. He did play well. I agree with you that putting him on the fourth line is not ideal. It's not the ideal. I don't think that demotion is the way to get the best out of a guy like him, but it is what it is, and hopefully we'll see him back up on the second line shortly. I told you I'd be amazed if Canadian could put up 10 wins to end of the season. Losing is not okay. All right. Entertap. What does Entertap say here? Stand by. Agreed, Devin. The team is moving forward, but lately without the results, the rebuild takes the time it takes, and patience is the key. Can't believe the venom being spewed at times. Yeah, again, it's frustrating, and it makes it a lot less fun for me to be doing what I do when the fans are sort of freaking out and overreacting and so on and so forth. But again, it happens, right? When the team is losing like this, people are calling for the GM to be fired. They're calling for players to be benched and sent down. They're calling, they're suggesting that this guy's not ready, that guy's not ready, and I mean we all do it. And it's for me, I prefer to take a more nuanced approach to the game and to the sport and to my team, right? Like for me, I'm not just going to quit on a guy because he's played, 8 or 10 or 12 bad games. I think, again, it depends on the guy and depends on what he, PLW saying, we're talking about, Nick Suzuki here, right? If your best players aren't your best players, you can't win on the long run. And again, I think that's an absurd comment if you're referring to Nick Suzuki, because night in and night out, Nick Suzuki is one of your best players, right? And to suggest that because he may not have been as good tonight as he is on other occasions, that somehow he's some kind of a concern or that he's a worry, I think is again it's typical of Montreal Canadiens fans that they like to overreact and they like to wear their emotions on their sleeve about the team, and that's fine. That's part of being a fan. But at the end of the day, if you're concerned about Nick Suzuki and you're going to start to throw him, under the bus, he's a guy who's a point per game player, right? He's a point per game player in the NHL and one of the best defensive forwards in the league. And he brings it on a night in and night out basis, and he's not going to be outwardly spectacular every single night, but again, he is he's a solid force on that team. Even tonight, you would argue that tonight was not one of his best games. However, he still expected goals percentage of 49.5%. Right, so again, not at the top of the team, but anything over 50% is usually pretty good. And on a night where his line got mixed up, within the first 10 minutes, he still was on the ice for things went better for the team when he was on the ice than the other way around. His Corsi percentage was 68%, so he was on the ice for 28 shot attempts. 4 and only 13 against. He was on the ice for 19 unblocked shots for and 8 against. He was on the ice for 12 shots for and 6 against. Yes, he was on the ice for 2 goals against. Absolutely not ideal. But he was on the ice for 16 scoring chances and only 6 against. He was on the ice for 8 high danger chances for and only 3 high danger chances against. So again, I'm not sure that Nick Suzuki is a major concern. The best answer we got today is whoever wanted to toss Monty aside got a reality check today. Yeah, fair. I usually agree with Marty St. Louis a lot, but benching Line and Slav is dumb. I'm just not a big fan of sending messages by shifting your lines around. I don't like that strategy. I know that it's a common one. It's always something that's been done, but again, it's not one that I prefer. Putting Gallagher on the first line, totally disagree. The reason Gallagher is playing well is because of the role that he's been playing in, the amount of ice time that he's getting. That's one of the reasons why he's doing so well. We all know that Gallagher is getting older, that he's, got a lot of injuries he deals with, and the fact that he's only playing 12, 13, 14 minutes a game is one of the reasons why he's playing so well. To put him on the first line and give him that added responsibility, that added ice time, I don't think would be a positive for him. Again, I think that that's a mistake that a lot of people, tend to make, is that, you're scoring. Same with Jake Evans, right? Moving Jake, Jake Evans is good because of, the fact that he is a fourth liner and he's playing that role. So again, I don't think that moving Gallagher up, it would be a good reward for him. Yeah. Congratulations, you're playing well. We're going to give you some time on the first line. But as far as the success of the team is concerned, I don't think that's a positive move, in my opinion. Andre, the team played really well. Not a bad game at all. I agree. We'll get to the scoreboard here in a second when we catch up on the comments a little bit. We'll get to that. What else does Brendan Gallagher have to do for his team to play top 6 consistently? Well, again, he's not a top 6 hockey player, right? Like that's the problem. Like if a guy is playing really well in a specific role, the temptation to move him into a different role is great. But again, that's not always what's best for the team, right? Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the reason why Brendan Gallagher is doing as well as he does is because of the chair that he's in, and he's suited really well for that chair. And I don't think it benefits the team to move him to the top 6. I really don't. I don't think it's better for the team for him to move up. We've seen in past years what he looks like when he's tired and when his body is not responding the way he would like it to. We've seen him when he's like that. And to start giving him 17, 18, 19 minutes a game in a top 6 role, I don't think is good for him, and I don't think it's good for the team. PLW and Entertap are chatting there. Suzuki is stretching his shifts for too long anyway. Yeah, I don't. Where's the evidence of that, PLW? Like, let's shift report for tonight. The shift for average shift length for Nick Suzuki was 0.47. 47-second average shift tonight. He was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth lowest on the team. So everybody on the team, with the exception of Dvorak, Gallagher, Slavkovsky, Xhekaj, and Laine, had a shorter average shift tonight. So again, 47-second shift. The lowest average shift length on the team tonight was 37 seconds. Gallagher was 40 seconds. Slavkovsky was 42. Xhekaj was 43. Laine was 43. And then Suzuki was 47. So the average shift length for all of the forwards was 47 seconds. So Suzuki was, right there with the rest of the team. So again, I don't think that shift length was an issue for Suzuki. And again, shift length is difficult sometimes too, because if you get pinned down in your own end, oftentimes your shift, especially in the second period when you've got the long bench, that can obviously affect your shift length. But again, tonight, Suzuki 22 shifts at 47 seconds each. Yeah. Zero extra long shifts. Yeah. He had 4 short shifts, 5 long shifts, and 0 extra short shifts, and 0 extra long shifts. Look at Nick's numbers versus Bergeron, pretty impressive. I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Bergeron just yet, but again, I don't think that of all the players you need to be worried about on the Montreal Canadiens, I don't think that Nick Suzuki is one of them. They certainly are, PLW. They are. They are the best line on the ice for the majority of the games that the Canadiens play. You have to also keep in mind that the Canadiens are typically putting that line out against the other team's best offensive line, and they still, 3 out of 4 games are the best line out there. Obviously, Slavkovsky, when Slavkovsky struggles, that is a bit of a burden on that line. But again, you are overreacting based on a short sample size when, the greater sample size or the greater record that Nick Suzuki has tells you that he's not a player that you really need to worry about, right? You're worrying about a 5 or 6 game sample size when you've got 3 years now of Nick Suzuki on the Montreal Canadiens, where he's proven that he's a consistent performer that puts up a point per game and is a beyond steady defensive performer. I don't say Galley permanently on the first line, but for some sporadic push at times. Yeah, again, I don't see the reason why you would move him out of his current chair. But for a long time, he had an average shift of 60 seconds. Well, I don't think that's correct. I would doubt that he ever would have averaged a 60-second shift in any game in the NHL. I would say that that's probably not accurate. Matchup Suzuki versus weaker line. Well, again, I don't. Why would you do that? I mean, Suzuki is really, really good at shutting down the other team. I'm not worried about Nick Suzuki. I mean, we can move on from it and talk about something a different, PLW. I don't want to sort of monopolize the entire conversation about this, but I think that again, I think that you're wrong to be concerned about Nick Suzuki. I don't think he, as Entertap says, I don't think he's a player that we as fans need to worry about. I don't think he's a player that Marty St. Louis is worried about. I don't think he's a player that the management is worried about. They know what they have in Nick Suzuki. And again, I feel like any, again, I really have a hard time coming up with anything negative to say about Nick Suzuki. I mean, he's solid on both ends of the ice. He's a good leader. He, rarely doesn't show up. Even, you seem to be suggesting tonight that he didn't have a great game, but, the numbers would seem to indicate otherwise. Obviously the line as a whole was not ideal situation for them, losing one of their, line mates being moved down the lineup and then having a third line center put on the wing on that line, is certainly going to impact, a little bit your game, but I'm not worried about Nick Suzuki. So anyways, guys, we're going to go to the scoreboard here. We're going to go to the scoreboard here, guys, and we're going to have a chat about the scoreboard. Again, very similar to last night. It's got some similar numbers and some similar interesting stuff to look at, right? So, again, we know the final score was 5-3 for the Lightning with an empty net goal, so essentially a 4-3 game. The Lightning jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead on goals by Nick Paul and Hedman. Again, 2 goals that resulted from, mistakes, if we want to call them that, by the Montreal Canadiens. The Tampa Bay Lightning took advantage of those mistakes. Gallagher, late in the period on a power play with a nice wrist shot, beats Vasilevsky to make it 2-1. But again, the numbers outside of the scoreboard, so in that first period, the Canadiens were outscored 2-1. However, they outshot Tampa Bay in that first period. They outshot them 12-2. The Corsi was 29-4 in the first period. So shots towards the net. Shots towards the net. Not shots on the net. Shots towards the net in that first period were 29-4. So not only is that 29 number impressive, but the fact that Montreal held them to just 4. Only 2 Corsi, 18-2 Corsi in that first period. Tampa Bay only had 2 shots that were directed towards the net that weren't blocked. They only had 2 shots total, and they scored on both of them. Right? High danger scoring chances, 9-2. So again, dominant period by the Montreal Canadiens. They came to play. They played really well, and they just didn't get it done. They weren't able to 29 shots towards the net, 18 unblocked shots towards the net, 12 shots on goal, 19 scoring chances, and 9 high danger scoring chances, and they were only able to score that single goal on the power play at the end of the period. And so we go to the second period again. They give up a power play. Braden Point scores early. There was a power play at the end of the first period. Braden Point scores. Then Girgensson scores a goal, and all of a sudden Tampa's up 4-1. Doesn't look great. Again, to their credit, the Canadiens fought back. They didn't give up. They didn't fall apart. Dvorak scored a goal at 12:45 from Savard and Slavkovsky to make it 4-2. And in that second period, again, pretty even period. 22-22 on the Corsi, 14-13 on the Fenwick, 9-8 in favor of the Canadiens for shots, and the high danger scoring chances favored Montreal 5-4. So again, the Canadiens, that was sort of Tampa Bay's best period, but the Canadiens were certainly right with them. But again, the Canadiens aren't able to take advantage of all of those opportunities, and it's another 2-1 period, and they're down 4-2 going into the third. They score another goal from Gallagher in the third to bring it to 4-2. To 4-3. They're right back in the game. They have a chance, but unfortunately, they're not able to take advantage of the pulled goalie situation late in the game. They had all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of pressure in the Tampa Bay zone. Vasilevsky stood his ground, and they were able to hold off the Canadiens. In the third period, the Canadiens Corsi 28-14, Fenwick 23-9, shots were 13-7, scoring chances 15-5, high danger chances 7-1 in that third period. So again, we see the numbers for the entire game here on the scoreboard. 35-21 shots on goal. So that's 2 days in a row. I think it was 34-22 last night. Canadiens were not a team that was accustomed to outshooting their opponents, let alone outshooting them so significantly. But they've done that 2 games in a row. The Corsi again, nearly double, right? 83-44. So those are shot attempts. So that's an indication of how often the Canadiens had the puck. 57-28 on the Fenwick and 23-8 high danger scoring chances. So, those numbers are indicative of a team that, was the better team, but unfortunately wasn't able to convert on their chances and come out with the victory. I want to talk about the referees a little bit here too, right? If you noticed in that third period, especially in the last 10 or 12 minutes, the referees just decided they weren't going to call any penalties. And, this is what I mean when I say that the NHL referees don't understand what game management is. NHL referees believe that game management means that you can't call too many penalties against one team and not call, penalties on the other team. It means that the referees believe that they don't want to affect the game. They don't want to have an impact on the game, right? So if you'd ask the referees why they sort of swallowed their whistles in the third period, if you had a chance to talk to them after the game, they'd probably say, well, we didn't want to impact the game. But the problem is that when you don't make those calls, you are impacting the game, right? When one team is dominating the other team, you would expect the team that's being dominated to take more penalties, right? If I'm all over you, you're more likely to take penalties against me, right? Like you're put in positions where you're more likely to trip, to hook, to slash, to hold, to do all of those things. And we saw that. There were 3 or 4 penalties that could have been called against Tampa Bay in that latter half of that third period, where the Canadiens were just kind of buzzing all over them in their end, and the referees were just letting them get away with it. And again, this idea that you don't want to impact the game and you want to swallow your whistle late in the game because you don't want to give a team an opportunity to have a power play at that point in the game is just such such a stupid concept, because you're affecting the game, right? You're stopping the Canadiens from getting the opportunities that they should have because of how well they're playing at that particular time, and you're not giving them the advantage that's meant to come with that. So again, you're negatively impacting a team that's deserves, because they're carrying the play, they deserve to have that advantage. So again, I had a real issue with the way the referees handled that game in the third period. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but we can get to it. That's a really dumb comment over on TikTok. If your name is Habs is your daddy, that's a really stupid comment. Perhaps you should stick over here on TikTok with the rest of the dumb people, children. I'm difficult on Suzuki because I think he is better than what he shows sometimes. The Four Nation snub is there for a reason. What is it? Well, I don't know that I would call Suzuki being a snub. I don't know that that's a snub in my view. I think that there are players that were picked ahead of him that all deserve to be there. I don't see him not going to the Four Nations as a snub. I don't see it as a. I mean, again, I don't know if there's a reason for it. Maybe you can tell me what the reason is, PLW. But again, I just believe it's a scenario where he's a guy who just didn't make the cut. Could he have been there, and would he have been productive if he had gone? Absolutely. But again, there's a lot of players that could have gone. Who played first line when Slav got moved down? Jake Evans did. Evans and Beck played center. Trade in the works. Pierre LeBrun stating Evans is far from a deal with the Habs. Yeah, I wouldn't take a lot of Pierre LeBrun is wrong a lot more often than he's right. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in what LeBrun is saying about Evans. They took Jarvis over him. In no way, shape, or form should Suzuki be snubbed over Jarvis. Jarvis plays the game pedal to the metal. Okay, again, it's not a snub. Jarvis is a very good player. I think you might want to look at who is picking the team. If you want to see why Jarvis might have made it, Jarvis is a very good player. I think he'll be good there. I think they probably wanted to bring a younger player like Jarvis there. Again, I don't see it as a snub. It's not a snub. As Entertap says, he's there as a role player. I agree with you completely, Entertap. You're building a roster. You're not building an all-star team. Does a role Suzuki can surely take with his eyes closed? Yeah, he could. He could do. There's a lot of players that could play that role. There's a lot of guys that could be on that team that aren't, right? Canada has a deep talent pool. So again, the suggestion that Nick Suzuki is snubbed because he plays on your favorite team is not, again, it's not a nuanced argument. Like, there's lots of guys who didn't make that team that, probably could be okay on that team. The talent pool is very, very deep. But he doesn't have a lack of intensity, PLW. He doesn't have a lack of intensity. Again, again, I've invited you to move on to another argument, PLW. Like, I don't think we need to spend the entire show talking about why you don't like Nick Suzuki. There's other things that we probably can talk about here. So, again, I'll ask you again that we can maybe move on from that. But again, if you're going to be a dog with a bone on that topic, I think you're completely off base on it. Referees had their head at the Super Bowl game. Yeah, perhaps. A-team, Gallagher, Dvorak, Anderson, and Matheson. You are close. Entertap, you are close. Anderson was clearly tripped by the goalie beside the net. There was a play where Laine deserved a penalty. Speed draws penalties. Possession draws penalties. It should, RDP. Possession draws penalties. All of these things, right? Common sense tells you that if you have the puck more often than the other team, then it's more likely that they're going to take more penalties than you. But unfortunately, in the NHL, the referees don't see it that way. The referees think a well officiated game is a game where both teams, get an equal number of power plays, and that not one team doesn't get more advantages than the other, regardless of how the game is played on the ice. But if it were the other way around, they would have called all on the Habs. Well, I don't know about that, Andre. I don't know about that, but again, I'm not complaining about the fact. Obviously tonight it was a scenario where it negatively impacted the Canadiens. But again, it's this whole idea of game management, which is it's not what game management means. Game management isn't about making sure that nobody gets more advantages than the other team. Game management is about making sure that the result is fair and that the players are safe. That's what the referee's job is, right? The referee's job is not to ensure that neither team gets more power plays than the other team. Galley, Dvorak, Matheson, and Slav. You're not as close as Entertap, PLW. Galley, Dvorak, Matheson, hot take, Laine. You are close. You're not as close as Entertap, though. Entertap, Armia played only 9 minutes. Any thoughts about that? I don't have any thoughts on that. There are going to be guys who play fewer minutes. I didn't think that there was anything that stood out to me that he could have, that as far as injury or as far as like him making a mistake that would have warranted him getting less ice time. I didn't see anything out there, but I could be wrong. How did Evans play while up in the top six? Not great, Anonymous. He was on the wing. I mean, he played okay, and he handled himself okay there. But again, I don't think Evans' best spot on this team is on the first line. Again, I'm not a big fan, as you know, of shuffling the lines. I don't think it's a good strategy. It's not something that I believe is helpful. LeBron gets the info from players and agents. Well, he gets it wrong most of the time, so I don't know where he's getting it from. But typically he's wrong. So Jarvis is better than Suzuki. Let's be serious here. Well, he's not, Liz. That's not even a. He may be someday, but he certainly is not right now. It's not even. I mean, again, I suspect that you may be coming at it from another fan base, but again, if you can provide me with some sort of evidence-based argument that Jarvis is a better hockey player than Nick Suzuki at this stage of his career, I'd be all ears to hear that. I'd be all ears to hear that. So, all right, guys, the much anticipated. There's going to be one guy on here that you guys are probably none of you have mentioned, but again, I thought he had a really, really good game, and here's your A-team. So there it is, guys. Anderson, Struble, Gallagher, and Matheson. That's my A-team. I thought Anderson had a fantastic game for the second game in a row. Unfortunately, he's a bit of a exemplification of what's happening with the entire team, right? tons of chances, tons of opportunities, playing the game the right way. Looks really, really good out there, but unfortunately can't seem to get to get a break. Like he's just he's snake bit right now, and it's unfortunate because he's looked really, really good. He could have had 3 or 4 goals tonight. I thought he was really, really good. Jaden Struble, again, this is the dark horse, the guy that you guys probably don't have on your list, but again, his underlying numbers tonight were incredible. Like he and Matheson both had really, 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 really good numbers defensively. Struble, I think, contributed to the offense tonight. He got a couple shots on goal. He moved the puck well. I thought it was one of his better games in a long time. I thought he played really, really, really well. Brendan Gallagher, obviously 2 goals. I mean, it's hard to 2 goals when you lose 4 or 5-3. Obviously you've done something. I thought he was clutch tonight. Honestly, overall, I don't think it was one of his better games, but certainly, he was maybe the antithesis a little bit of the Montreal Canadiens as a guy who didn't get a ton of opportunities tonight, but scored on both of them, or scored when he did get the chance. And Gallagher's always going to put in a performance. He's always going to play hard. He's always going to be a guy who leaves it all on the ice. And in typical fashion, he did that. He did that tonight. Mike Matheson, I thought, had a really good game tonight. Again, probably the most underappreciated player on the team. Oftentimes, I just sort of look at Matheson and think, well, he played a good game tonight, but I feel like he doesn't get the recognition when he does well, but he catches all the shit when he makes a mistake or two, and I think it's unfair. So tonight, both Matheson and Struble on the defensive side of things, I thought looked really, really, really good. So. Let's see what you guys think. Anderson, Anderson. I thought he had a really, really good game. You don't think he did, Jeff? I thought he had a really good game. Yes, Struble. I thought I didn't put Anderson in there because at one point he needs to sneak the puck inside the net. Well, again, scoring goals isn't the only thing there is when it comes to playing good hockey. There are aspects of the game that go beyond that, and Josh Anderson right now is probably bringing positivity and positive contributions to the Montreal Canadiens better than any player on the team over the last 4 or 5 games. He's been really, really good. I thought he's had a really great game, a really great season overall, to be quite honest with you. But the last 3 or 4 games, he's been really, really nice. His game has really, he's settled into his new role. He's comfortable there. I think that mentally his game is better. Like he's not getting, tied up in production. Obviously he's killing penalties. He's being physical. He's standing up for his teammates. He's doing all that stuff, and all around his game is really, really well. They all need to convert PLW. They all need to convert, right? He's not alone in that. But again, he's playing a role now where his offensive production isn't. The key component of his game. So again, you can say that he needs to convert, but again, what does that look like? Like you're getting opportunities, you're playing good hockey, right? I'm not gonna if you play a really, really good game, I'm not gonna discredit you or not give you the credit you deserve for playing really well just because you didn't score a goal or you didn't put the puck in the net. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal in hockey is to score goals. But again, you don't score goals without doing all the other stuff that lead up to it. So that's the A-team, guys. I don't know what you think. It seems like, for the most part, there's agreement there with most of those guys. If you are watching, guys, if you're watching the show, there's 11 watching right now, apparently. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. There's a button down below that says subscribe. Hit that button. If you're watching in a replay, you can hit subscribe as well. If you enjoy the content, we'd love to have you be part of our family here, part of our group. We're trying to build a place where people can come and chat about the games in a civil and intelligent way. And our family is growing. We've been doing this for about 3 months now, 2.5 months. We could always use more people though, and the more people, the better. And if you want to be part of it, we'd love to have you. So hit that button that would be awesome. Also, give us a like, hit the thumbs up button, hit the notification bell. And if you're watching this show after the fact, the game's over, you've watched it in a replay, we'd love for you to subscribe as well. YouTube, like I said earlier, stats are telling me that only 35% of people who watch the show actually subscribe. So again, if you want to subscribe, it really helps the channel. It helps us grow. We're trying to get to 500. Once we get to 500 subscribers, there's some really cool stuff that YouTube allows us to do. But we need to get there. We need to get there first. My A team is great. A lot of Habs played very well today. Yeah, I thought so too. I enjoy making the A team when there's a lot of guys to choose from, as opposed to when there are only one or two guys that you can really pick from. Like the game against Anaheim the other night, right? It was really hard to pick an A team for that game because there really wasn't anybody that really warranted being on being recognized in that way. So, what's up, Samuel? Canadiens date of death, 2016. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Samuel, but welcome. Welcome to the show. Super Bowl, please. Well, we're doing hockey right now, Samuel. The Super Bowl will be on later. Yeah. It will be what it is. But yeah, I think we'll move on to the report card now, guys. Again, I felt like I was a little bit too harsh on the team last night. With my report card, a little bit softer with it tonight. They obviously allowed more than 3 goals, so they fail in that category, but they did score 3 or more goals tonight, which they didn't yesterday. Their special teams, again, not ideal. They allowed a power play goal. They did also score a power play goal. So again, that's a bit of a push, but I did give them a passing grade for that tonight. Or this afternoon. Actions that helped the other team, I did give them a check mark. I did give them a passing grade for that. However, there obviously were some errors in the first period, especially that led to goals. So again, I don't think it was a theme that carried over through the entire game. It wasn't like there were a ton of bad turnovers, but there were definitely a few early in the game that led to goals. Weathering the storm, I thought they did that. They kind of weathered the storm a little bit. There really wasn't much of a storm from Tampa Bay tonight. There wasn't sort of a scenario where Tampa Bay was all over them with prolonged pressure. That didn't really happen tonight. Dealing with adversity, again, this is they could have fallen apart very easily early in the game when they got behind. They didn't. They did. They did make a game of it, and they did get into the conversation late in the game and have a chance to tie it up with the goal he pulled in the last 3 or 4 minutes. So they did definitely, deal with that adversity. In the past we might have seen them quit or give up or let down. FU factor, I thought it was there tonight. There was some physical play. I like a nice hit from Patrick Laine. He kind of got pissed off when the other team took a run at him, didn't get a penalty. He kind of took matters in his own hand. I like to see that. And I thought they played a full 60 minutes today, right? Despite the score, I thought they played a solid game of hockey tonight or this afternoon. I thought that was a good performance top to bottom. Other than the scoreboard, they were the better team today for the second game in a row. Now, I know that's cold comfort, and it doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot, but, they played a good 60-minute game. All right, PLW, enjoy your pizza, man, and enjoy the game. Hey, man, don't be sorry about picking on Suzuki. I just disagree with you. And sometimes we just need to move on, right, and move on to another topic. Like, sometimes we just can't hang on to it. But it's all good, man. I appreciate you being here, and I love the content. I love your contributions, and I appreciate it. So I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. And I hope you enjoy the pizza. I hopefully will get some pizza myself before the night's out. So, so that's the report card, guys. Tonight, do you agree with that? Do you disagree? I mean, again, the report card was designed, with games like this in mind, right? This was the whole idea behind the report card because, in a rebuild, oftentimes the score is not indicative of whether or not the team played well or not. It's not an indication as to whether or not you're happy with the game or upset with the game. So we tried to adapt a different way of looking at the games. Merci beaucoup, Sébastien. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming. I think you're new here. I haven't seen you before. So if you want to come by, we do a show. We do this show every night or every time the Canadiens play. We go live on the air after the game is over, and we do about an hour and a half or so talking about the game and dealing with questions and comments. The shows are a little bit livelier when the Canadiens win. Unfortunately, when they lose, it's a little slower. We get less people and less comments. But merci beaucoup. J'apprécie votre commentaire, Sébastien. I appreciate your commentary. I do make an effort to have informed analysis of the game and not just sort of react emotionally. I try to be a little bit more nuanced about it. So that's what I try to do here, and that's what I try to do for you guys. And hopefully, we can build a community where we do that, right? Where you guys can come here and you can, speak, about the game in a way where, you're comfortable and confident that, you're not going to get trolled, and, you can speak intelligently about it, and, we can have a back and forth. We're not always going to agree, but we can disagree, in a constructive and in a civil way. And that's what we're trying to do. So if you're not subscribed yet, Sebastien, anybody else, whether you're live here now or watching in a replay, please do so below. So the comments seem to be slowing up a little bit here, guys. I know there's 11 of you watching, but we've gone through all of our stuff. We've gone through the scoreboard. We've gone through the A-team. We've gone through the report card. I will report as well to you guys that on Wednesday we will be premiering the new show, H.A.D's Therapy Day. That will be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. my time. We'll be doing a show. It will be more of a digest kind of show. We're not going to be talking about a specific game, obviously. We'll be talking about issues related to the team and hockey and the league in general. I suspect there'll be some content about the Four Nations face-off as well. But that will be starting up on, it'll be a regular show. We'll do it weekly on Wednesdays, and we'll do the first episode on Wednesday evening, and it will be here on this same channel. H.A.D's Therapy Day, again, we'll be looking at issues related to the Canadiens, to the rebuild, all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in talking about that, we will obviously be live. So you will have the opportunity. We'll do the show live, and then it will be recorded and reposted. But you will have an opportunity to join in, post your questions, make your comments, and so on and so forth. And I do want it to be a back and forth and an interactive type of thing. I don't want it just to be me sort of talking at the screen. I want it to be a little bit more than that. So. Again, I see that there are 11 people watching at the moment. However, the comments have kind of dried up here a little bit. So maybe that's a sign that it's time to move on and to make our way to the Super Bowl. I don't know what you guys are thoughts about that, but I do appreciate everybody for coming. Let's see. Yeah, so I think that's probably a good spot as any to end the show, guys. I do appreciate everybody. Sébastien, merci beaucoup. PLW, Samuel Atia, Jeff Sheeran. Liz was here briefly to make a little comment about Seth Jarvis. Anonymous was here. RDP made a quick drop-in. Andre, thank you. Entertap, of course, as always. Always a regular and always a welcome addition. And great contributions from Entertap. Who else? We have Billy D. Who else? Let's keep going through Entertap again. RDP Jeevan made a quick pop-in. Claude Richard always makes a quick appearance. Thank you, Claude. I appreciate it. Kyle Pelly early on was in here as well. Jeff, damn, that Super Bowl messes up our hockey schedule. It does, but now we can enjoy it. We've got a week off from hockey. Hopefully the Canadiens, we got more than a week off. We can watch some international hockey. Ciao, Samuel. We can go watch some international hockey and we can do our thing. So hopefully the Canadiens will get some nice rest and relaxation and come back nice and strong for the second part of the season. So that's it for tonight, guys. Again, one more time, I'll invite you to subscribe. If you're not, if you're watching live, hit that subscribe button. It's right here down below the screen. If you're watching later, I understand not everybody can watch the show when it's on live. If you are watching the replay, we do appreciate you. We do I love the fact that you are watching the show afterwards. If you do have comments, feel free to post them in the comment section. Like I said, I do have a comment that I do need to respond to, a lengthy, nice comment from a gentleman from Scotland who joined and watched on the replay. And yeah, if you are watching in a replay, feel free to post your comments there. I will certainly answer them. And we will see you hopefully live someday. But again, subscribe. We are trying to grow the community. We are trying to build a place for you guys to come and talk about the game, talk about the Canadiens, talk about hockey. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. We want to get to 500 subscribers, but the more, the merrier. So please hit that subscribe button. But that's it for now. Montreal Canadiens fall 5-3 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, a disappointing result, but not a bad game. The Canadiens head into the break on a tough note. Again, I thought they played well, but it would have been nice for them to have a win to take with them on vacation. Unfortunately, they are not able to do that, and they will have to head in with back-to-back losses where they certainly probably deserved a better result. So that's it for now. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. On vous apprécie, vos questions, vos commentaires. On vous verra à la prochaine émission. We will see you next time, guys. Thank you very much, and peace out.
Hoffman, Monahan parked in front. Dr. Caulfield fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.